Hello, friends. It's me, host Eric, and I'm here with assembled personages in the raw room of Talking with Spanish People, TWFP1, appear.in/TWFP1. You're always welcome to join if you'd like, and or to chat via the live stream here on YouTube in this part of the browser that I'm looking at right now. Anyhow, I'm here today to talk about Alpha Quadra, Socionics Alpha Quadra, which comprises a decent amount of the Talking with Spanish People community, but almost all of them are INTPs and ENTPs. So we don't have a lot of ESFJs and ISFJs around here, the other two components of the Alpha Quadra, which is unfortunate a bit because I think that having all the Quadra components together makes for a happy place, supposedly, according to Socionics. What am I smoking? I've been asked in the chat, and I am smoking at the moment. This is Northern Lights, I think. Northern Lights number 2. This is California knows how to party. It was good old-fashioned California dispensary weed. Anyhow, Alpha Quadra. It's a good place to start. Alpha Quadra, because everybody in Alpha Quadra has the same 4 or valued functions in MBTI. Front end of the stack, as you might call it, is comprised of NE, TI, FE, and SI in different orders. That's what makes it a quadra. So ENTP goes NE, TI, FE, SI. INTP goes TI, NE, SI, FE. ESFJ goes FE, SI, NE, TI, and ISFJ goes SI, FE, TI, NE. It's hard because, see, this is an example of ENTP brain where I don't remember it. I have to rebuild it every time. That's why it takes me a second. And okay, I'm talking about, the ones, I'm using the MBTI model right now to explain the order, okay? I'm not using Socionics numberings. I'm not using the ego block and stuff like that. I'm just saying, and according to MBTI, that's the order in which they go. I'm not, again, Liz, I don't limit myself in that fashion, right? I don't say I'm ascribing to this system, that system. I'm describing cognitive functions. And the taxonomy of the cognitive functions is best described as one of, you have a proportional relationship between functions that you are habitual in the habit of using for the purpose of doing things, or that have a habitual use that's purposeful for you, regardless of whether it's intended or not. So you have basically enough attention in life to develop 4 manners of attention as existential frames. What a cognitive function is an existential frame. So because a cognitive function is an existential frame, what it means is it's a way of existing. It's a way of making or manifesting one's own existence rather than non-existence. To have existence, there needs to be a frame of existence. To exist in that frame is to attend through that framing. And that's what it means to say you have a dominant function, is that that's the frame, the metaframe, the frame in which the other frames work. And so when I say dominant function, my basic rough, I guess, description of the relationship between the things is probably an 8:4 to 1 ratio of active attention, such that even though my meta frame is NE, NE is also a frame within the meta frame. So it can function as something I'm utilizing, so to speak, or displaying or manifesting, but it can also function as simply just my default way of being, which it always sort of does. The thing is, it doesn't mean I'm always using NE. Sometimes I'm attending to the world through SI, which precludes me from using NE directly because they're mutually exclusive. If I'm making a mess, I'm not cleaning up, and vice versa. So it doesn't change the fact that it's still within a meta framework of me making a mess. It's like, what am I doing in general in life making a mess? Right now, I might be cleaning up, and that's going to preclude me from making a mess right now. So in that instance, I'm attending to the world through SI, not NE. But I have as a meta framework NE because that's my default function. Now, in between there are things that I attend to the world both. They have both qualities of proportional frequency, because not strength we're talking about so much as it is frequency. We're talking about a couple of different things. On the one hand, it's frequency of time spent in that manner of attention. So who is echoing so much? Oh, that's a video playing. Is that you playing a video? Who's playing a video?
Quadra is making noise.
Okay. There. I'm just going to mute her on mine. It's fine. Okay, so it's a manner of attention that, and then I say, okay, well, I've got introverted thinking, I've got extroverted feeling. Those two things work sort of in concert and sort of to the exception of each other, depending. I understand that I've got to, it's basically, I'm a thinker who's using FE as a motivator and as a shaper of my thinking. Versus if I had FETI, I'd be a feeler who's using thinking to, in the other direction, as a motivation and as a shaper. So they function in different roles in that regard, but they also function in different frequencies of use. And so they also function in different dimensions of impact. So if you have something that's dominant function, you're so accustomed to using it, you're able to use it on all different manner of thing. You're able to use it across dimensions. You're able to use it across time. You're also able to know what it is in the momentary experience of it. For somebody like me with SI, I really only understand it in the moment that I'm doing it. I don't understand it very well as how to utilize it in more complex dimensions. So the thing is, it's a confluence of a lot of different ways of describing the same basic idea, which is you got acting, 2 ways of knowing, and 4 ways of justifying. Anyway, the alpha quadra, getting back to it, we've got a quadra that all has NE. Everybody in the alpha quadra has NE, and we're known in socionics as being merry. And the thing is, regardless of whether we're talking about socionics or not, we do know this, that those 4 types all have the same habits, the same habitual manners of attention as one another that are actively used. So in that group, that's going to play out in different ways. Socionics says that we are merry, and what that means is basically with jovial atmosphere like this. I think talking with famous people is designed to be a merry atmosphere, but it's also designed to be a contentious atmosphere, because in the alpha quadra, people don't necessarily have a problem with talking shit out. Hurt feelings are not a big problem in alpha because there aren't introverted feelers. you've got extroverted feeling in various spots. INTPs have the lowest priority of extroverted feeling, but they aren't the problem people of the group. Obviously, it's the ENTPs who are the troublemakers of the group. But the ESFJs and ISFJs have. I think it's fair to say, if we were just all hanging out with a bunch of INTPs, ENTPs, ESFJs, ISFJs, and let's say we had equal numbers of them all, or the appropriate ratio, I guess you would say, probably there'd be more of them, that they'd have us well in hand, basically. The SFJs would have us well in hand, and we'd be nice, we'd be nicer, and we'd be like, ISFJ would manage the ENTPs as it's so nice in here when Julie's here, right? It tends to be a lot nicer. It still gets contentious. From her perspective, it's still probably quite contentious, but from my perspective, it's a lot nicer in here. Why? Well, because there's that inherent, naturally occurring, and impressively effective thing that happens when different types of people interact with each other, and some individuals bring me up and some individuals bring me down. I'm very reactive. This has to do with me, I guess, more than anything else. But I think probably ENTPs in general. I'm very reactive, so it's easy to push my buttons if you're trying to get me to be mad and troll and stuff. It's easy for a second to do that because I'm going to assume you're telling the truth, and I'm going to assume you mean what you say, and then when you don't, then I'll be mad at you. You wouldn't get involved in what stuff? I'm curious. Interactions with other people? Small fry? What do you mean small fry? I don't understand. Okay. Okay. Should you? Okay. You seem to be competent. That's what you should be doing. And I should be too. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. So, what makes you think that your assessment of what I ought to do is more accurate than my own assessment of what I ought to do? Hmm. I see. Well, that's a good reason. That's pretty convincing. You know more about them than they do themselves. You are a wise and insightful one. Tell me. Tell me my secrets. Tell me my failings. Does it have something to do with that time with that donkey? I do not understand. What is this thing, this body of mine? I work out, yes. That's such good advice. Oh my God, you're right. That's what's been missing. I haven't been working out enough. I am smoking weed too much. Gosh. I know. I'm so demotivated. All I do is lie around the house. Sit here in front of the computer talking to you people. Jeez. What a waste of time. I know. This poor guy. I am so thankful that somebody finally came in to do an intervention. My my living nightmare that I call waking up and being me has got to stop. Can you please help me, Black Puffin? I know. I would like further advice from you, please. Being safe from myself. Meditate daily. Okay? And what's that going to do? Cold showers. Stop jerking off. It's all great advice, Black Puffin. Read. And will I get to be as cool as you if I do that, Black Puffin? Make pee? Okay. I think I've exhausted my interest in you. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that was, I guess, mildly interesting for a moment or two. Yes, I can read that casual. Casual too. So, Alpha Quadra. As I was saying, probably Black Puffin is an HP, I would guess. fucking around, you know. That's just my initial guess. That's the sort of thing Alpha Quadra does. That's not particularly harmonious type of thing to do, but I mean, I get it. There's an urge by ENTPs, especially, in certain stages of development that, yeah, I don't think so. They're just trolling. There's a need for ENTPs at a certain point. If they can't figure out a way to assert actual dominance, they just want to go in and like topple shit over. Because it tends to make them feel bad about themselves. It's okay, dude. Whatever. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's pretty interesting. It's fine. So the Quadra in general, I just wish that we could actually get more SFJs around here, because when my ex-wife was here briefly, she had a good time. I mean, I know that she found the experience very satisfying because, like most people, I think the Quadra likes to be very socially active. I think it's a social Quadra. Even the introverts, INTP, ISFJ, they ideally like to be able to have interesting conversations with interesting people. That's why there's a lot of INTPs around here, I think. And it suggests that it's, I mean, okay, from my perspective, it's a more fair Quadra than any other Quadra because it has no FI active in it. Now, if you have FI, that means you're all about what you want and what you like and not about what's reasonable. So it makes Alpha a very fair Quadra, and it's a process-oriented Quadra in general compared to others. So even the judgers, ESFJ and INTP, are more process-oriented than most judgers, I think. And the reason being, of course, NE is somewhere in the mix, and the SI-NE combo of knowing based on what's happened and acting upon acting in terms of hypotheticals and what might happen and speculation and stuff like that, that model lends one to being process oriented. I mean, that pairing lends one to being process oriented even if one's a judger first. INTP as a judger is you're not going to encounter them being very judgy. They don't, they like ENTP. They tend to sometimes show up in um, unadorning clothing, like just sweats and a t-shirt or whatever. That we don't feel as a quadra. The NTPs don't feel anyway, not as a quadra necessarily, but the NTPs don't feel like that shit matters. SFJs love that shit. SFJs love to put on fancy clothes and makeup and stuff like that, and they think it's important to look nice. Like Candace was always super, super attentive to all that shit, and sometimes I think too attentive to it. I think she used to be not so much anymore, but she used to be a little bit overly FE. It's always a challenge for people who've got too much FE. But the ISFJ, like my mom, they're very much. I think we've got a quadra that has two different things going on. We have a couple people who need to be taken care of, INTP and ENTP, and we've got a couple types that need to take care of, ISFJ and ESFJ. And so, really, I think all the quadras work out on some level like that. I like the fact that the alpha quadra works out like that, but I do lament the fact that the nature of this community is such that it doesn't draw SFJs, but it's an impossible conundrum because SFJs don't want to be. Okay, well, it reconnected successfully, and it appears as though we did reconnect successfully and no problems there. It seems as though approximately a good time to end the stream. I do need to go to the pharmacy, and I feel like talked about some good stuff. Wasn't the most exciting stream ever, probably, but hopefully you got an idea of what sort of experience you might have talking in here. If I am in here or not, sometimes I'm more participatory with the group, sometimes not so much. And it's available to everybody who wants to come in here, TWFP1, appear.in/TWFP1 or appear.in/TWFP2 are the two always open 24/7 rooms that are being recorded by this guy here, this raw room bot, and then they get published to YouTube, so you can see your own conversations published to YouTube shortly after you have them. They should be uploading. I don't know what it currently is at, but it's uploading sometime about an hour or less than an hour after you have the conversation. It's there as a video on the TWFP Raw channel, which I will show you here. Looks like this. Piao. And what you'll see when you go there is a whole lot of Piao in your Piao. See, here's the raw channel, and here are people talking. You'll see this is from a while back before I was in the room, I guess. Liz was here, and Audra and Taylor were talking, and Suzanne is here, and Champagne Poppy, and Quadra, and Loki, and the bot. So this is what the channel looks like that publishes it automatically, and if you really want to get into it, there's a downloader app that allows you to easily grab the video that you were in and take it to your computer where you can edit it, and if you send it back to me, I will put it up on the main channel, and that's how the whole thing works. So anybody else want to make some comments, questions, concerns, complaints, queries, or other words that sound like that before we end the live stream? Okay, that sounds like the end of the time, the end of the stream, the end of the train ride. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. And remember, if you're not talking with famous people, you're not really talking.